It's time for the Steve and Kyle podcast with Steve.
I mean, obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to jump in.
I won't.
mean, I'm terrible.
No, not interested. Just looking forward to playing ad nauseum. Yeah, I mean, look, it's you got a boo-boo. We've talked about this. You're all patched up. They said, hey, don't run too much.
Yeah.
And 6 months later, you're good.
Kyle.
You were working from home for a little bit. The monkeys had the Ebola outbreak. You were home for a little bit, and you were like, I'm going to have time to set this up now because I'm going to be working right here anyway. So right, the last whoo-hoo goes down the airwaves.
Yeah.
You click puddle of mud.
Fairly accurate.
Start telling them, hey, my connection's bad. Boom, you're out. 10:01.
Live on tape from APS 3 point whatever, it's the Steve and Kyle podcast.
The incomparable Melissa Vaughn. The UK's own Melissa Vaughn. Thank you, Melissa.
Now officially famous 2 continents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because we know she's uber famous
Of course.
in Europe.
It goes Queen of England,
Yeah.
William and Kate,
Mm-hmm. Who's the other one?
Mr. Belvedere,
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean, Melissa Vaughn. So top 5. Not bad.
Yeah. And then she, I mean,
Is
she's,
Mr. Belvedere British? I don't think he was.
Is she?
Now that I think about it.
Well, if we
It
don't want
sounds like a British name. Mr. Belvedere.
well, if Mr. Belvedere is not going to be number 3,
Look, if Mr. Belvedere is not top 5 British people of all time, then I don't want to know who is.
I mean, we could put it on the poll. Is Mr. Belvedere a top 5 British person of all time? Christopher Hewitt as the
Please
title
do.
character who takes a job as a butler with an American family, insinuating that he would not be
Okay.
American. Let me look at if Christopher Hewitt, the actor who played him, we lost him, Steve.
Oh, yeah, he's been dead for a while.
Lost him 20 years ago. He was
Yeah.
born in Sussex, England.
Wait. Oh, you smished your sentences
sorry.
together and made it sound like he was born 20 years ago in Sussex, England.
We lost him 20 years
Hold on,
ago.
I need some Mr. Belvedere audio.
He was born in 1921 in Sussex, England. I apologize for mishmashing all of those words, but so do you have James Bond number 6?
So I type in Mr. Belvedere talking, first video, the Mr. Belvedere when the kid got AIDS.
Oh.
All right.
Oh.
Got the
Lynn Aloysius Belvedere.
Aloysius. How do you spell? That's one of those ones that doesn't look at all like you would expect it to be spelled, right?
Aloysius.
That's it?
That's it.
Wait, Aloy, so alloy.
Sius. Aloysius? Aloysius?
Alo-
Maybe it's Aloysius. Maybe
Probably
it's
not.
not Aloysius.
I'm pretty sure it's Aloysius.
Maybe I made it a little bit too fancy. You know, because he's English.
Right.
And they're all fancy.
They are. They are fancy.
So Mr. Belvedere had to talk to a kid who got AIDS.
Apparently.
How do you think
So
that
is
went?
it on the poll yet? Is Mr. Belvedere in the top 5 British people of all time?
Yeah, it'll be up on. Well, it says I don't have access to your Wi-Fi. You know what? Yes, it's on the poll. It'll be up there in seconds. That's Mr. Belvedere. Wow, I didn't expect that. I have to tell you,
Really
Mr.
hit
Belvedere.
the ground. We hit the ground running, man.
Mr. Belvedere is a total blind spot for me in terms of I know nothing about the show, nothing about the character. I'd only heard the term Mr. Belvedere.
So you never watched it?
Never watched it. I didn't even know he was a butler or nanny that was British.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I was pretty confident that he was British. Yeah, I watched Mr. Belvedere. It was around the same time of like Growing Pains, Family Ties, those kind of shows. Who's the Boss?
Oh, so it was looked over for superior shows.
Oh, I mean, look, I'm not defending it, saying it's the greatest show that ever aired.
Sure.
And I couldn't tell you one plot point, one storyline from the entire show, other than what I just learned that there was an AIDS episode, which is surprising.
I had to have it out. Well, not even have it out, but I really made someone upset with a tweet I made a few weeks ago, Steve, regarding a show you enjoyed. Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
And I just mentioned that it didn't make me laugh once.
Really?
I didn't like it. It just wasn't for me.
Okay.
But in the same tweet, I said, it's not saying it's not good. I said it just missed me.
And I would assume that you know and are perfectly fine with being in the minority on that.
No question.
Right? Because
People look at this
that
thing
show,
as,
everybody, you're the
Yeah.
first person that I've talked to that said, nah, no good.
Yeah, I know people have revered it and put it in the lore of American sitcom. Well, not even American sitcom. It was
It's Canadian. Yeah, it's
right?
a Canadian show.
Yeah, I said, hi, my name is Kyle, and I haven't laughed a single time at Schitt's Creek.
Really?
And I said, I'm not saying it's a bad show. It just missed it.
So did you watch the entire series?
No. So Katie watched it, and I consumed a lot of it by proxy, being in the room.
That's exactly how I saw it.
Yeah.
Because Annette had watched it already. I think she had seen the whole series, or at least close to it.
And just our friend Josh in Maine said I wanted to like it. I'm a big Chris Elliott fan, but he's not in enough to keep me watching. And Jonathan Baker said the same. I wanted to like it, but it just didn't do it. But, someone named Mike called me a monster. But I really upset Leslie, who decided to, in my mind, make a wrong attack. You like Cheers, so ... And if there's a couple things you don't do on my Twitter feed,
oh boy,
or in my life, it's slander a piece of Americana,
huh?
a piece of American television history, one of the most renowned sitcoms of all time. Cheers. You just don't do it.
Just don't do it. 240 some episodes. You just don't do it.
No, and it's 270. Thank you very much for asking, Steve. I'm glad you brought that up. 270 half hours that are considered among the finest in television history. So, Leslie, I will wait for your apology. I notice you haven't given it yet on social media, so I will wait. Because that is one thing you don't do. No. I'm sorry. Schitt's Creek just missed me. But,
that's right. But hold on. Let's... Can we rewind a bit?
Yeah, let's please.
Schitt's Creek.
Belvedere.
Here is I managed to pull up the Mr. Belvedere opening credits and theme song. Is your internet being kind of goofy?
Yes,
mine,
I do not have your Wi-Fi in your house right now is not allowing me access.
Looks like it crapped out for some
Are we
reason.
recording? That's the key. This is going to be already, Steve, for me, a relatively unpleasant episode. So if we get through the next hour...
Don't worry.
Oh, that's
this
right.
episode's going to be fine. I have the slide whistle.
If we get through the next hour, and, you pop the card into your laptop and you say, well, we didn't get anything.
Then we're not redoing it, right?
No.
Or maybe we do a 2-minute recap of the episode.
Yeah, next week.
Like, boo-hoo, chest hurt, got surgery, sucked, all better now, yay.
Thanks. There it is.
People waited months. 6 months they waited.
I don't even know if people are waiting. Why would they? Why do they care, right? That's the...
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Look,
you heard it in the intro.
I am here to play the intro and to play the outro.
The easiest episode Steve has ever had in terms of participation.
This is great.
You had to have, obviously, like we talked about, you were getting your top 5 Jeep Grand Cherokee body designs of the 80s
let me
ready.
tell you, I got so much to talk about if you need filler. We did quite a bit of work has been done on the Comanche since last week.
Oh, please don't.
Nothing that...
I'll power through anything.
Nothing that you or the layman would notice.
I'll power through anything if I don't have to hear that.
Look, I got many irons in the fire right now.
If
I
you
got
care.
the website pulled up for Rusty's MJ 3-inch lift. It's an Adaleaf. I know a lot of people aren't too sure about the Adaleaf. They say, it depends on your original
Well, you
springs.
can find anything for that at Second Chance Jeeps. That's, I don't know, on one of the social media channels. Just Google it or something.
Facebook and Instagram.
There you go. Facebook
at
and
Second
Instagram.
Chance Jeeps.
That's where you can find all of your idiotic Jeep talk.
Speaking of Second Chance Jeeps, which sounds like a shameless plug, but it's not. I went to the store. I went to the hardware store the other day, and I happened to be wearing a Second Chance Jeeps t-shirt. picked up a couple items, and I went up to the cash register to pay for them, and I put the items on the counter, and the cashier looks at me. She looks at my shirt. She says, "Oh, Second Chance Jeeps. You rebuild old Jeeps, don't you?" And I was like,
So that's weird, but it's also inherently what else? Like, unless she thought about, you're helping Jeeps that are out of drug rehab.
Right. So I was already kind of thrown off. I was just like, because look, my Instagram has like 1,000 followers. All right.
Sure.
So, and this woman didn't seem to fit the demographic of the average Second Chance Jeeps fan out there, which I heavily air quote when I say that. And I said, yeah, I guess I do rebuild Jeeps. And she's like, and you sell them? And I was like, once, like 3 years ago. So
yeah. So now she thinks you're a psycho because you said once and then you made merch.
I don't know if I don't know if she thinks I'm psycho. But the rest of what you said is accurate.
I mean, it's weird because I went to the grocery store later that same day you mentioned, and there's a cashier saying, "You guys wouldn't believe it. There was some lunatic."
Every person that came through the line.
Who was helping Jeeps through drug rehab.
So I said, yeah, I guess I do that. And then she said, "You sold 3 Jeeps to my brother earlier this month." And I said to her...
You should have said, yep.
I said to her, "Nope, that definitely was not me." Yep. And she said, "Yeah, it was definitely you." And I was like, "No, I can guarantee you that I did not sell 3 Jeeps to your brother or brother-in-law or whatever it was."
Yeah.
And she said, "Are you sure?" I was like, I've never been more confident that I did not sell your brother 3 vehicles. So we can just kind of agree that I'm right. And she's like, "I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was you."
What a weird discussion.
How are you going to take such a hard stance on that? It's like me walking up to you and be like, "You drive a Corolla, don't you?" "No." "Well,
you sure?"
"Pretty sure you do. So I guess we'll just agree to disagree on that."
So both the 2 polls are on Twitter so far, Steve. Facebook, obviously, I'll have to do that another time. But would Second Chance Jeeps be more interesting if it were helping Jeeps through alcohol or narcotic addiction?
Yes. You could probably do a TV show about it.
And then, as we talked about, is Mr. Belvedere a top 5 British person? Again, edging out James Bond.
Yeah. Shocking.
Edging out James Bond. Kind of a hot take there by Steve.
I mean, I didn't hear you disagree.
No. You heard me not know who Mr. Belvedere was.
Right.
Which is kind of the same as agreeing.
Maybe go back and watch that one. I wonder...
The AIDS one?
I think the whole series. I mean, you have to appreciate it for all it's worth, not just...
You think it's streaming anywhere?
Oh, I bet. I'm watching The Wonder Years right now. I'm sure that Mr. Belvedere is too. Although The Wonder Years is obviously a far superior show.
It's like streaming seasons 1 and 2 are on Amazon. How many seasons was this piece of crap?
Couldn't have been more than 4.
Really? And so this is, he's just a uppity British man who becomes a butler.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Super interesting. Well, you know what? All I can say is I'll throw it on the list. I'm sure I'll get to it.
You know something? Just give yourself a little taste. Maybe when you're sitting around later today, you got 23 minutes to kill. Pop in a Mr. Belvedere. If it grabs you, hold on tight because it's going to be a hell of a ride.
It looks like somebody illegally uploaded the pilot to one of those video site, Daily Motion.
Okay.
That's all I see for streaming. So maybe I'll give the pilot of Mr. Belvedere a chance.
I appreciate that.
Now I'm seeing they did a Mr. Belvedere cast reunion on Zoom last year during the quarantine. How do you do the Mr. Belvedere cast reunion without Mr. Belvedere? He's dead. I said nearly 20 years.
I couldn't name one other character on the show.
Let me see. I have the cast list pulled up.
I need actual names, not actor names.
Nope.
Wait, was there a Wesley? There was a Wesley.
There was a Wesley. It sounds like Wesley was probably one of the kids.
Yeah, Wesley was the kid because
Bryce
he got...
Beckham.
Yeah, because... all right. So he's probably, 45?
Wow, big name here. Is I'm assuming one of the kids. Bob Uecker.
Bob Uecker was the dad.
Oh, the dad. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes more sense than me thinking in 1990 that 80-year-old now Bob Uecker was one of the kids.
Yeah, he played a 9-year-old kid.
Well, maybe that's not out of the realm. You know,
I forgot that Bob Uecker was in that. Yeah.
They've got all the shows now. I think one of the more recent examples, 13 Reasons Why on Netflix, where all of those high school kids are 28 to 32.
Yeah.
And, hey, you just look young, right? You don't have any, you don't have a beard yet, right? Okay, you're in. Yeah, so I don't recognize any of these other names either.
No.
We've got, so Christopher Hewitt, rest in peace. Eileen Graff played Marcia. Rob Stone played Kevin. Tracy Wells
Okay, I remember
played
that name.
Heather. Bryce Beckham played Wesley.
Tracy Wells. She's been in something somewhat recent, I think.
Oof. I am
Clicking on the IMDb.
well, I'm on the Wikipedia and they don't even have. She was a guest star on Growing Pains. I don't think you've seen her in it. My impression is she doesn't act anymore. No, I know she doesn't act. She's a realtor.
Oh, of course. Because anyone who gets out of the entertainment
You have to
industry
sell houses.
goes into real estate.
Yeah, because then you want to buy your new humble abode from a TV star.
Well, you probably, stick with me here. I think that the only reason that most people that get out of entertainment and go into real estate is because they already have the really good headshots that are perfect for the sign.
So you think
so you can just
Tracy
slap
Owens or whatever her name is using
her
headshot
Mr.
from
Belvedere.
1985's Mr. Belvedere?
Exactly. I mean, it would be a shame to why are you going to spend a couple $100 on new headshots?
They're going to meet her at the coffee shop to talk about what they're looking for in a home, and I don't think she's here yet.
I'm looking for a 9-year-old child realtor.
Blonde woman from the corner of the coffee shop just waving frantically. No, it can't be her. It's like one in TV shows or sitcoms where they have somebody meet for a blind date, and then they just ignore the person
They
once
just
they
walk
see
into
them.
one door and turn around and walk right
that
back
was
out.
that was one of the cringeworthy scenes from The Office, if I remember right.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Scott.
Michael
did
was
that.
meeting with, I think it was Pam's
Mom.
landlord or
Oh,
something.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was a landlord. And, oh, God. Well, Steve.
Is it time?
I think it's time.
Is it,
Don't mind me.
Oh, what do you got there? Oh,
gonna-
you got your... Oh, you're putting the metal dice in the... Oh, boy. You know what that means.
No, we're playing...
Time for things to be a real bummer from here on out. Oh!
Play
You shake that up at all?
Bourbon Monopoly.
You shook it up first?
Yeah, so it's like like water powder mix when you want your tap water to taste like lemonade.
Well, yeah. So if you, oh boy, nice heavy hand. So does that mean you're drinking it neat because those haven't been
that is
refrigerated?
neat. Yeah. I should have asked you to chill those.
Yeah. Those haven't even been washed.
No. You like to get that fresh steel. Really.
Yeah.
It really enhances the flavor of the bourbon.
Metal can't get dirty anyway. We all know that. So,
smells good.
Yeah. Give me some bourbon talk.
It's neat. So it's warm.
I already gave you that.
Yeah. It's in looks like a whiskey glass.
What do you call it? A glass?
It's a cylinder shape. About, what do you think, 5 inches high?
Probably 3.
I think 3 inches high? Yeah, 3-4 inches high. It's, I guess, probably about the 2.5, 3 inches in diameter.
I was hoping more about the actual bourbon
It's
itself.
got 2 steel cubes in the center. I just put 2 in there this time. Doesn't really do anything for the flavor or the coloring or the...
Boy, this is just riveting knowledge. I don't know where I would have gotten this otherwise. I mean, you talk a big game like you're a bourbonite. Any good? Then now remember. Oh, sorry. What am I, an idiot? Now again, the history of this bottle. Can you pass that over to me? I need to see what this is called. Beer Barrel Bourbon from distilled by New Holland.
Yeah, right in town.
Yeah, a local distillery. The origin of this, again, is that this was on the free table.
That's right. The take it if it's here
at
table.
the radio station, because it spent over a year, probably a year and a half, in a storage unit that the radio station was recently evicted from. So things had to go someplace. So they brought all of the liquor that was supposed to be for the big New Year's Eve downtown bash this past year. It was left over from New Year's Eve 19. So they brought it all to the radio station and literally sent out an email and said, "Free booze in the break room."
Seems like the takeaway there is it's a good thing that your paycheck doesn't come from that company.
Yeah.
Because getting evicted from storage units.
Is it any good?
Not exactly the opposite. So it is. It is good. It's different. So this is aged in beer barrels instead of your standard charred oak barrels. It is 80 proof, so it's a little on the lighter end for your bourbon.
Okay.
You're going to want... Once you get towards the 90 and 100 proof, Steve, that's when you start seeing...
Oh, sorry. I was bored out of my mind.
That's when you want a little bit more of that melt. For me, anyway. I'm not, a super seasoned bourbon drinker, so I'm sure a lot of people are looking down on me for using ice balls. Why am I... Ice circles?
Cubes?
No, but it's the rounded.
Sphere.
Sphere. Yeah, ice spheres.
Ice circles. Like the things you get in a slushy at Sonic.
Yeah, no, ice globes. I'm comfortable with ice globes.
Ice basketballs.
Okay, well, these will be on Twitter because we can put multiple options there. Ice spheres, ice balls, ice globes. And what?
I'm sorry, I'm updating the show notes. Kyle cracks a bottle of bourbon to prepare for the boo-boo story.
Now,
apologies. I mean, no offense.
Now, before I get super into it, I need to thank you and Annette. You guys were among a group of people who reached out continually while I was in there to me and to Katie. You came over before I went in for surgery. Was a incredible help in terms of getting me ready for it mentally, as well as just bracing myself for what was to come, to know that you guys were there. That was incredibly thoughtful, and thank you very much.
I don't want to brag, but I did give you a pretty good gift bag that had a magazine with biographies.
I still read it. It's right in the restroom.
Of all 40, well, at that
45.
time it would have been 45 presidents.
Yep, that is it. You came
got a
over.
Little sticker shock when I went to the...
You told that story.
I got you that. I got you some candies, little things like that. I figured I'd get up to the register and it would be about $8-9. It was $26.
And the magazine
I think was $13. I said, well, I can't turn back now.
And if I remember right, you included there was some tea, which somebody on our staff snuck in and included that in your solstice gift.
Man,
feels kind of rude.
Yeah, I thought it looked familiar, but couldn't place it.
Came over with some wall art from Cricket Corner.
Of course,
it was just
a quote by Coach.
It was fantastic. So thank you very much during a very difficult time. That was a nice relief. So
happy to help.
To very briefly recap what happened in late October, I was having. I woke up in the middle of the night.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, sorry. That's right. We need the slide whistle ready. Okay. Thank you.
Things are getting bad.
Yeah. This is, and I told this part already, so it's going to be a brief recap. Mm-hmm. Had some jaw pain overnight. Woke up, still had some upper chest, not even upper chest. It almost felt like in my throat and like just pressure.
Indigestion? Like, would
I didn't really, it didn't feel like it because it felt too far up. And I'd never once been woken up from jaw pain, so that was weird.
Yeah.
Took some Tylenol, it seemed to go away. But I was at work, and this pressure in my upper chest wouldn't go away. And Katie was my wife, Katie, who's a nurse and very smart and wise, was trying to tell me, hey, you should call the doctor. And I said, well, if I call the doctor with chest pain, what's the first thing they're going to say? You need to
go to the emergency room or call 911.
And she said, at least send him a message. I said, okay, I'll send him a message. I sent him a message. Within 10 minutes, they called me and said, yeah, we'd really like to see you today with that. Mm-hmm. So I'm at this new job for barely 4 months.
Yeah.
And
you're
boss...
probably on a real hot streak of deny.
My fingers are red hot from telling people no.
Did you think maybe it was a reaction to that? Because Like the day before, was there somebody that you almost let slide through, and then
Steve,
you figured you'd wait on it, sleep on it till tomorrow, and then woke up in such a panic because you almost let one slip through the cracks?
Steve, we don't make mistakes.
Has one person been able to buy a house since you started?
No,
on
not on my
your
watch. I mean, unless you give me a darn good reason, and yet I haven't seen one. Okay, you're getting the denial button.
So basically, if you're looking to buy a house, think again.
Down whistle for you. Maybe I can send that in the emails. Boop. Sorry.
Okay, I apologize. Apologize for jumping in there.
No, please.
I'm probably gonna have a lot of questions though, and they're all gonna be 100% serious.
So I went in. I think they did some blood work. He checked the EKG, and he said, "Hey, the EKG is notoriously kind of. It's not. This one isn't meant to be super accurate. We're just trying to see if there's anything really wonky." And he said, "I think there's a little abnormality there. It could be stress, could be this, but I want to send you for a stress test to verify." So they do a stress test, and then essentially an ultrasound of your heart. So they have you jump. They take pictures with an ultrasound gun, I guess is the term, of your heart. Yeah. And then they have you jump on a treadmill right next to the bed, run until they get your heart rate up to a certain amount, and then jump back into bed, and they take more pictures to see how your heart's reacting.
Are you like wearing your slacks for work?
I changed. So I mean, I was wearing my work outfit, and I changed in the hospital into some shorts and some shoes.
I just feel like it would be really, really
no,
difficult.
It would be uncomfortable. Like, hey,
like
let me
you're in your Dockers, and your fancy penny loafers or whatever. I don't know what you wear to work.
I've got my Crofton Barrel black dress shoes. Can I run on the treadmill in these?
I guess you could if you need to.
Yeah. So they went in. I went in for that. They started. This is a couple days after. So this all happens in a 2 to 3 day span. And they're taking pictures, and they kind of gave me an estimate about how long the appointment was going to go, because I had initial plans to go back to work because it was early afternoon. So the picture part's taking a little while, but, I know how things work with the ultrasound.
Yeah.
Maybe she's not...
Machine's on the fritz.
Yeah. And then she gets what appears to be done. She says, okay, put your shirt back on. I'm going to go, shoot the film through the dark room or whatever they do for this stuff. Comes back in a few minutes later, says, okay, you can just leave the shirt on and put your shoes on. Doctor wants to see you in the office.
Okay.
And I thought, well, she's, not there to tell me that my heart's the best she's ever seen.
Yeah. Something's obviously
Yep.
wrong.
So went in the office, and it must show on the record that my wife is a nurse at that hospital, at that company. She said, do you want to call your wife? I was like, oh, okay, so it's really bad news. Because,
you're not going to call her and he's not going to say like, yep, all good here.
Yeah.
Hey, what time you taking lunch?
Yeah. And I told this part before as well, but I was so nervous that, I called her quick, and I said, okay, hey, doctor's in the office, wants to talk to you. She said, okay. I said, all right. The idea was she was going to mute so that, you couldn't hear Reed in the background, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm so nervous. I'm like, all right, I'm going to mute you. Boom. And I mute her.
So you muted her.
Yeah.
Well, you muted you.
Yeah. So I'm just holding the phone out into the middle of this doctor's office in this room for 15 minutes.
Sure.
And I hear her. I hear a little rustling around. I hear Reed in the background, whatever. And at the end of everything, doctor goes, okay, Katie, do you have any questions? I say, hey, hon, do you have any questions? And I press the button. She goes, no, I've been muted for the last 15 minutes. I didn't hear anything.
Jeez.
So
things are going well.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to have this highly paid heart doctor redo that whole speech.
Yeah.
I'll just fill her in.
Yeah.
So it's decided there that those pictures show that I have an aortic valve they're supposed to have 3 flaps that allows when it pumps blood out. It does not allow blood to come back in. I was born with only 2, which means there was what's called regurgitation, a lot of blood flowing back into the heart.
Okay.
So now, it means my heart was only functioning at a certain percentage of what it normally does and what it's supposed to.
So you didn't know about that beforehand. So at no point in your 30 whatever years had there been an issue with this.
Correct. And the only reason you'd notice this is if there's a heart, if one of it's genetic, they'll try to check you if they know it's in your history Two, if you've had a heart murmur, or if you have a heart murmur, this could be a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
I never had a noticeable heart murmur, I guess, during any of my doctor's visits. No reason for it.
Okay.
So she lays it bare, and I appreciate her for it. The doctor's saying there's only one way to fix it. We have to replace it. And the only way to replace it is you go in through the front with open heart surgery.
Oh.
Yeah. You don't. This isn't one of those that you can go in with like a catheterization type thing through your groin or through your side, and they can just pop it open.
Some of them might be kind of.
No, you know what? Have fun with them. I mean, play with the slide whistle. It's inherently a toy.
Was there any good in this whole meeting? Any good news at all? Was it a sunny day out? Were there
no? It was October.
Peanut M&Ms in the vending machine.
I mean, it was 2 days before. It was the week before Halloween, so I was looking forward to that. Right?
Hey, all right.
And also, she told me, "Hey, you're probably not going to die."
Hey,
right? Two things.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So if you're keeping
there,
track at home,
couple positives.
Couple.
So I left there under the direct information that, hey, we're going in through the front of your chest, and we're going to do it soon.
So this is full on open heart surgery.
Yeah, so
no way around it.
Right now, it's not. You're not going to die right now. She said it's not. But eventually, at any point, this thing you could enter what's called heart failure, and your aorta's working so hard it could have an aneurysm, and once that thing goes, you're gone in a second.
Right.
So she said it's not like we're going to keep you here today to do it, but you're top of the list. We're going to have to get you in for this to do it.
Now, did they give any specific instructions, do not, a list of don't do's?
Yeah.
Don't go for a run. Don't do high intensity stuff.
Yeah, it was more high intensity. They didn't tell me no running, but it was the implication because it was don't be lifting 30, 50 pounds right now.
What about scary movies? Because I know that you like things, bats. They say avoid bats.
Yeah, definitely.
Avoid
things
masks. And things that go bump in the night.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no direct.
I mean, talk about a real bummer leading up to the Halloween season.
I mean, no direct reference to horror movies, but I guess you're probably right. The implication was probably, hey, avoid that. Just go ahead and watch, a couple of Matthew McConaughey, Kate Hudson romantic comedies.
Yeah, maybe start the Christmas season a little bit early.
Keep it light, So, yeah, hey, just take it really easy until we can get you in for surgery. So okay, no big deal. So within a week, they had me referred to a surgeon. I met with him. And the worst part, as we've talked about, and I think a lot of people would agree, is the waiting. Meet with him, and in my mind, I'm like, all right, as soon as we can. Get me on the list.
Well, the waiting, plus that was right around the time that this state especially was going through a huge surge.
Correct.
And
it was
COVID
a little
numbers.
before. It was right before. It was when it started on the uptick for its second time. But yeah, no question that's in the forefront of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So when the surgeon tells me, well, I'm on nights, because all of the doctors and surgeons have to do rotations at the hospitals of nights, and they rotate those. He happened to be on nights the next 2 weeks or something.
Mm-hmm.
So now I know it's 2 weeks of just waiting,
just sitting,
knowing what's coming. Now, granted, it's nice to be able to say, hey, I can kind of get whatever affairs in order, HR related at work, anything around the house I need, whatever.
You guys have a will?
No, and I didn't do it. I didn't think about it then. I kind of discussed it with Katie, but once you come to the realization that she's the one with any money, what am I leaving anywhere?
Just here's a couple Post-it notes and a pen.
Hey, hon, you want
to it's all yours, Kyle.
If you just want to divvy up my comic books.
I mean, that one in the glass is worth like $700.
You could buy like part of a cost. You know what? Fold my legs up like James Brown and stuff me in like a small size Costco coffin.
And this was all pre-Golden Tea, so you didn't even have your fancy heirlooms yet.
Ridiculous. I didn't have anything to pass on to my family. Nothing.
But now, the legacy you'll leave.
Oh my God, he's going to be so happy when I kick the bucket. He's got so much cool stuff.
Dad's gone.
So it's this 2 week period, and during that time you have to get a COVID test, and there's so many instructions about the day before, the night before, the morning of. You're washing, you're scrubbing with this certain soap
Like
and surgical stuff.
yeah.
So, I briefly talked about it going in. I didn't sleep at all the night before. We had to be up crazy early the day of, and I had to wake up even earlier than that because I had to take another one of these showers to where I scrub my chest and my back with that.
Which is kind of weird. You'd think that they'd take care of that. It almost seems like they're putting a little bit of the responsibility on you.
Quite a bit, right?
Like, what's in that? Are they going to be like, oh, here you go. Here's the scalpel. Just, I don't
Hey.
know. Cut yourself wherever it hurts.
Hey, 1 to 10, how woozy are you? You think you could tell me where your heart is?
I mean, I got a general idea, but this is my first time.
I haven't been in here for a week, and I was on a bender the other night, so things are a little hazy.
It seems strange that is, any responsibility whatsoever is on you.
So
I said you should have called him out on it.
A couple of, pretty difficult moments that night before, somebody had to watch Reed, so my wife's going to be there during the operation, and the day before they announce, literally the day before, I'm on the phone with the hospital because they announce they are rescinding the visitor policy.
Yeah.
It was already strict in terms of one person the entire duration could visit you.
Okay. So obviously that would
have been
Katie.
That was removed.
Was I on the list? Was I close to the...
You would have been, hang on, 5th? I'll give you top 5.
Hey, those are Mr. Belvedere numbers.
Right? And if you're in the same conversation as Mr. Belvedere...
Win. Complete win. Nothing I can complain about there.
So the day before I find that out, and then it's kind of a mini anxiety attack for me because obviously this is a big deal, and I know she's going to be there the day of, but the other days there, it's just me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had started to try to talk myself into hearing the time frames when I'm talking to the surgeon, and when they call you the day before to give you the entire rundown again. Here's how it's going to go. Here's the times. Here's what we estimate. I'd kind of heard a reference of 3 to 5 days, whereas before it was 4 to 7.
Yeah.
So now in my mind, I'm like, I'm a younger guy, 3 days.
What'd
I'm
you say?
home Monday.
This was a Friday. Friday morning.
I said,
so
I want to be home Monday.
Yeah, Monday, maybe Tuesday.
And I'm like, that's my goal.
That's doable. That's totally doable. You figure that first day you're kind of going to be zonked out. Days 2 and 3, maybe, I don't know, watch a movie or something.
Yeah.
So send some text to update people.
Yeah. And I apologize in advance because all the days end up becoming blurry. But obviously I did not come home that Monday. So surgery day, we get in there. But that night before I find that out that I can have no visitors unless it's a day of surgery until I leave the ICU. Because when you're having your operation, you can have a visitor. And if you're in the ICU, you can have a visitor as well because it's a pretty serious nature, and they don't want you just to be alone. So I know for a fact the first day I'm in the ICU until they move me to a room either late that night or the next day type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that out. Hugely depressing. Obviously hard. I don't want to reduce anything of what Katie went through either because she's a mother and a wife and somebody who works. So she's getting this news as well that I can't be there with him.
Right.
And also it's going to be me and just my son now for however many days, an insane amount of stress upon her as well.
Sure.
So while this story is about me, it's important for me to know and remember what she went through was just as hard, trying to make life continue, while trying to worry about me in the hospital.
Just keep it about you, though. It's all right.
But that night, my in-laws come over. They're going to take Reed overnight. So saying goodbye to Reed is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do because we've been away on vacations and stuff, but vacations are vacations. They're a couple of days.
Yeah.
You're going away to a hotel to, see restaurants and shop, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And in the back of my mind, I'm a pessimist. I always have been that way. I don't think I'll ever be able to shake it. In my mind, there's that percentage chance where I'm like, hey, this is possibly the last time I'm going to say goodbye to my son.
Sure. Well,
before, and he's
I think that whether you're optimistic or pessimistic, I mean, a major surgery like that, it's not like you're going in because you broke your arm.
Right.
You got your
my
leg injury when your flappy foot when playing a 3-pitch season of softball.
And he's 2. So he doesn't know.
No.
He doesn't realize when I'm saying goodbye to him and I'm crying on his shoulder what it means to me, because he's 2. And so then I start thinking, well, he's 2. If I don't come home, he's never going to know who I even was because he's 2. So it was a bad night. I didn't sleep. So we get to the. I stepped all over it. I apologize.
It's all right. It's all right.
So we get to the hospital.
I mean, do me a favor. Try to remember what's really important here. And it's perfect drop placement.
I've got to lay out for the slide whistle. And, I told myself that this morning. I woke up. I tried to give myself a little pump-up speech.
I'm surprised. You should have been telling yourself that back in October when this whole thing was playing out in real time.
Get ready for that slide whistle, Kyle. And you got to lay out for it. You step on it, it ruins the joke. I'm sitting in the hospital just smacking myself on the head.
Stupid. That's what extended your hospital stay.
So... we get in the hospital and I'm obviously super anxious. You sit in the bed, they get you all ready and they lather you up with yellow stuff all over your chest and your side and your arms, and they're putting IVs, and it all happens so fast to me, I'm there at 5 or 5:30 and the surgery is until 7:15, and yet boom, 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 there's nurses, there's people in and out, and next thing I know, they're putting like cleansing stuff in your nose, like yellow, not formaldehyde. I don't know what
iodine,
it was. Yeah, something
iodine
like that.
Solution,
and it stinks and it stays in your nose forever. It's awful. And then finally, it's time. And I asked him for, I think Katie asked him in advance, like, hey, can he get something for the anxiety? He's not doing well. And yeah, I can. I know I'm not doing well. So they do. I go in for the surgery. Obviously, I remember going in. I remember being wheeled in, and the same thing that they always tell you is the, breathe, count, whatever. Next thing you know, you're gone. And for me, that's it. I wake up. My biggest fears going in were waking up with the intubation in. That I didn't know, and I know you're on an insane amount of medication. So my biggest fear is waking up feeling that in my throat.
Okay, so it's going completely.
It goes all the way down.
Gotcha.
That's what. So when you're on this surgery, you're intubated, and you go on. I think it's called heart-lung bypass. A machine's breathing for you.
Yeah. So your heart is not. It stopped.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
And I tried not to consider too much in advance before the surgery, all of that, because that's a terrifying prospect. The idea that a machine is doing your only real necessary function
right.
to live,
but
a machine's doing.
Yeah, I mean, also kind of okay though.
Sure.
I mean, because you're in there for a reason. Like, and obviously this is easy to say. Right. It's easy for me to say in hindsight.
Sure.
But you're in there for a reason, and it's because your heart's broken. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. The machine, on the other hand, it's a machine.
Right.
As long as it's got power, it's going to keep doing what it needs to do.
Man, there's 8 to 10 people in this surgical suite. When you see that, it's a little more comforting, right? Yeah. You have a heart surgeon, you have nurses, you have anesthesiology, you have all of these people there that are, presumably very good at what they do. But it doesn't reduce the idea that in seconds I'm going to be asleep and they're slicing me open and sawing me open through the center of my sternum. Oof. So it ended up being about, from what I now am told, about 9 hours or so. I got about 5 o'clock. Katie told me I was out and I was wheeled into recovery. And now Katie's an ER nurse. Katie has seen people in all different states of health and bad health. And one of my biggest fears going in to this was I am still stuck with an image of when my father had triple bypass surgery years ago. Okay, I think it was more than 10 years ago at this point. And we're all waiting in the room or in the lobby. And doctor comes out and says, okay, he's in the room. You guys can go see him. He's out. He's going to be out for a little while. And I rounded that corner, and he's still the intubation in. And it's not just a tiny tube going in. Yeah. It's a large tube, and it's fully taped.
It's like a full face mask.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I rounded the corner. I saw him, and I did a 180 and walked away. I said, there's no way. I cannot see that. And that image, it was, Steve, I'm not kidding you, it was a second and a half that I saw that before I turned around. And it's still burned into my brain seeing him like that.
Lasting images.
Yeah. So I part of me,
Look, by the way, if you need a joke at any time.
Oh yeah, no, trust me.
Let me know.
We will. I told Katie, not trying to be a tough guy, but like, hey, you don't need to go in there. Obviously, when I'm still asleep, like, I remember my dad. I said, I know you've seen that, people, but I said, for me, it scarred me. You don't need to see me like that. She said, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Well, after the fact.
Again, I mean, she sees it
right,
probably on a regular basis.
Well, she's told me now in hindsight, hey, that was really, really hard. Because seeing somebody like that is one thing. Seeing, Bill, a 50-year-old so-and-so who came into the yard,
somebody you don't know.
Thing. But seeing, your husband, that was a little harder for her. So she did see me when I was like that. She ended up going away for something for a few minutes. And in that time of when she was gone before she got back, I came out of it. Luckily, thank God for me, I don't remember that at all. I don't remember waking up feeling intubation, which was one of my biggest fears. I had two pretty decent-sized fears. That was one of them. Don't remember anything about that. But that's I remember being awake, and I remember Katie being in the room, but I feel like I don't remember any vision. I don't remember. In my mind, I feel like my eyes were closed. Now, she said they weren't. She said I was awake, and my eyes were open, and I was talking to her.
Sure. Having
a conversation. But...
probably just so many drugs in your system.
It's black. And I still remember having some of these conversations, and she reminds me still, I told her, she was up by the bed at one point, and I said, hey, don't tell Watson, which is our wiener dog, but you're my best friend.
Well, I mean, that's uplifting.
The slide whistle up. And I remember just very little about that room. I remember they wanted to stand me up, which is, it's hard at that point.
Sure.
But
how
remember
many?
One of
and this is like right after surgery.
Yeah,
this
was a couple hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I remember one of the nurses, and I complained about him a couple of times to Katie. He might have been in the room again. My vision's black. I don't know what he looks like. I remember his name, and I'm not going to say it because it's not fair.
But did you say like, "Hey, that guy Ed, he's the worst."
He was very aggressive about standing up or doing something.
Okay,
and I turned to Katie and I said something about like, boy, really aggressive, that guy. And then he came back in, and he was one of the people who helped me stand up, because obviously it takes a little bit of help to get up right then. And I was like, geez, man, take it easy. Something like that, because he was pretty rough, getting me up. I don't know if I had made him mad by calling him rude when he was in the room the first time. Whatever. So after that, I don't remember much. I remember they said they're going to bring me to a room. Katie had to leave. I said, hey, I'll see you in a few days. In my mind, the surgery went well.
Yeah.
That's what the surgeon told Katie. There was a few. So what they did was they replaced the aortic valve with a artificial pig or cow valve in there. While they were in there, they also did a bypass on one of my arteries in my heart that had a decent sized blockage, because they said while we're in there, we might as well.
Mm-hmm. They just have that like at the ready.
Well, I think that's easy for them, because they're literally just chop and then rehook.
But I'm saying because I mean the parts. Like,
no, they knew in advance that they were going to do the bypass.
Oh, I got you.
So before, after the stress test and the ultrasound, I had to go in for a full CT scan of everything, because they needed to see it with the dye, where they shoot dye into you.
Right.
Because they need to see exactly where it's leaking.
Okay.
And so that they had a full picture of my heart during the weeks that I had to wait.
Right.
To where they saw, hey, there's a blockage here. It's not a major one. It's not going to put you. You're not in any huge risk for a heart attack with this.
But while you're in there,
we're cutting you open anyway.
Yeah.
Let's fix it while we can. So sure, no big deal. So they were going to take a vein from my leg for that. So they did. All went fine. He said that the valve. He told Katie the valve was a little more screwed up than they anticipated, which has been a running theme through all three of my surgeries that I can remember in my adult. When my brother broke my nose, and the surgeon told Katie.
Oh, by the way, we're gonna lose Robert in about 11 minutes.
Oh my God, I gotta pick up the pace. I'm sorry. The
surgeon. I just want him to hear the end of the story.
Yeah, no, I know he doesn't know. He's been waiting.
Haven't talked to him in months.
How you doing out there?
How are those kids?
They,
Bobby and
5 and 8 now. Something like that. The surgeon who fixed my nose, it's like, yeah, I think it was really broken in there, like a lot of pieces.
You never want to hear that after a surgery on you. There were a lot of pieces in there.
And then the Achilles, it said like, yeah, it was in really bad shape down there. And now they said that the valve was even worse than they initially even thought in terms of what type of shape it was in. So surgery went fine. They got me into my room. And now these first 3 days or so, I'm in there. Now, again, I went in thinking, hey, I'm a younger guy. I can get out Monday. It's 3 days. It's on the front end of 3 to 5.
Yep.
It didn't take long for me to understand that's not going to happen. I wasn't even able to get off oxygen. So they had an IV in pretty continually, but then they also have that thing that sits on your finger to check your oxygen level.
Yeah.
So I had oxygen in my nose, and they would take it out, and it just could not stay at a normal level. It was in the 70s and 80s, and you need that thing at 95 plus continually to be, to live. So they have that. They give you a little machine with a ball in it that you have to blow into a tube.
Yeah.
And you need to keep that at a certain level. And that,
for a certain amount of time.
Because
Yeah,
you
I've
want to
done that
make sure you
before.
can't get, and I apologize. I know people out there who have had things like this done, or they know what it is, but I think it's not to get pneumonia
Probably
in your lungs,
Yeah.
I think. And,
I would assume
and
so.
To keep them working, so whatever. They have me walking, so I'm walking more feet in a row as the days go on. But it's also hard, and I'm not sitting here and saying the nurses are bad, because they're not. They're insanely amazing people at what they do. What I'm saying is during this spell with COVID, when they can't have visitors do a massive service to people in the hospital. When it's family, they're reminding you to eat. They're asking you if you have to go to the restroom. They're asking, hey, can I help them go? Can I help them take a walk? Whatever. They're kind of keeping you on a normal schedule. Well, when you're a nurse in a place like this with so many patients to different degrees of they need you or they don't need you, you don't get lost in the shuffle, but they can't be your mother.
Yeah.
They can't be your wife, reminding you to order lunch, dinner. Hey, it's time for a walk. A lot of that is on you. But it was just a different time to be in the hospital. You didn't see the nurse a ton. So I started to try to keep track of, I know I need medication at this time and this time.
Right.
Whatever. So I know I'm having issues with my oxygen. I don't know what it means. I don't know. They seem to be pretty comfortable with the idea that it'll shore up. You just need some, start exercising, and, eventually it kind of fixes itself. I'm on a ton of medication. I'm not going to the restroom, which, that's because I'm not eating. So that's a big concern. They have to catheterize me, which just to get me to be able to go to the bathroom, which is, if you've never had a catheter awake, it's not recommended. It's not pleasant. So I remember I had that. My whole stay, I had that 4 times while I'm awake. And I remember the 4th time they're doing a kidney ultrasound on me. And I forget what it's called. Or, I'm sorry, not kidney, bladder. To where they're checking how much urine is in my bladder, because they know, hey, if he's not urinating, we need to get it out.
Right.
So I'm sitting here now, but it happens enough times that I now know what I'm looking for on the screen when they're doing it to be under a certain number. Because now I'm stressed. I'm like, I know I need to pee. I just can't.
Yeah.
And anytime it's above the certain number, like, we've got to catheterize you. So the 4th time, I just remember breaking down, crying. I said, I can't keep doing this. This feels awful constantly. Not that it's intended to be a good feeling, but it's awful. And they do it. And finally, 4 or 5 days, I'm able to start going to the restroom. And it's like the biggest weight off my shoulder ever that I don't have to be catheterized again. So the oxygen's still an issue. But at this point, they're among the thinking that, hey, there's nothing really more we need to or can do for him. He's walking. He's going to the restroom. It's just the oxygen level, but his wound is healed fine. So they're starting to think about discharging me.
Oh.
So before that, one of the last big hurdles I had to leap was getting. So when they mess with the heart and around that area, they worry about fluid buildup and any type of inflammation.
Yeah.
So when they do these operations, they put in drain tubes, and they put them in between, like in your ribs, and around your lungs and around your heart, and they're just laying out of you and they're draining. And they had kind of prepared me, beforehand that that's one of the more uncomfortable things you're going to encounter in terms of your pain. That's going to be one of the ones that you're not going to like.
Yeah.
And so I'm worried about that. I know the tubes are there. In terms of pain, though, everything kind of hurts at that point. I can't sleep. My chest hurts. My back is killing me. But when they say, hey, we're taking these drain tubes out, I'm like, all right, another step. And I'm a little bit worried about the discomfort, but at this point I'm climbing those steps so I can go home.
You're on your way.
I'm already a little bit late. It's like Tuesday at this point, or Wednesdays when they're thinking about sending me home, but the drain tubes are coming out Monday or Tuesday. And again, I apologize for the disjointed story. It's all a blur to me.
Yeah.
So they tell you, all right, take like a deep breath in, and it's a big rubber tube. Comes right out from inside under your rib cage. Oh. 2 of them. I didn't feel them.
Huh.
I don't know if I was lucky or what. I know my pain tolerance isn't like super high, but I didn't feel
just
them.
Enough drugs in your system, maybe.
Awesome. I'm like, all right, that's it. That's
you're ready
step.
To hop up out of the bed.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
There's still some fluid buildup though, so at some point before I'm leaving, they're talking. It's called a pleural effusion. And Steve, I'm going to describe to you how they have to fix that.
Okay.
So there's a little fluid, and they can tell when you cough. They're checking your lungs like 4 times a day. Every time a nurse comes in, checking your lungs, and still sounds like there's a little fluid in there. So you kind of lean against a table, like you're standing up, kind of bent over a table, and from behind, they insert a massively long needle into your lung.
Oh, cool.
And go,
You mean... No, not that. Yeah, that.
They grab that fluid and take it out.
So, do they numb you for that?
No, man.
Oh, cool.
They
why would they?
So, they tell me that's going to happen, so... Luckily...
one time, I guess, you can probably deal with it.
Yeah.
Was this a multiple time thing?
Well, I'll say this to bring it to the end. That didn't end up having to happen.
Oh, good.
In hindsight, I would have preferred simply that happened. Because they're going to have to do that as part of, hey, we just need to get that fluid out. That's part of me going home. So at this point, I've talked for years. I'm terrified of needles.
A little bit better if you can't see it at least.
Sure. But the idea that this thing that has to go through my back into my lung.
Yeah, that's a long...
horrifying.
Why can't they go through...
I think it's rib cage related. Like they'd have to kind of go around it type of thing.
Thread the needle kind of deal.
Not interested. So they need to do that, but then they're also, hey, to send you home because you're having issues urinating, they're going to send me home with a catheter for 2 weeks. So that was another, how do I explain to these people that I have a 2-year-old, 2 dogs, who aren't going to listen when I say, no, dogs, you can't jump on my lap because you might step on my urine bag. Yeah.
But everybody that is there that is in a similar situation, everyone has an excuse why they don't want to.
It's just in my mind, one, it's not comfortable, obviously, and 2, I'm like, that's the last thing you want to go home with because then you have to come back and they have to take it out, which is the same equal amount of discomfort when they pull, again, a very long needle out from, Yeah. So I'm terrified. This isn't the go home that I imagined. It's already Tuesday to Wednesday, so I've already been in there longer than, again, pipe dream of what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
So Wednesday, I'm trying to force myself to eat more because I'd have trouble eating. I ordered something from the menu. They bring it up, and I remember it was like just a fried chicken tender, and I had a small can of Diet Sierra Mist, right? So just like a clear soda. And I remember I'm sitting up, the TV's on, which I hadn't had the TV on because I didn't, it's depressing. I didn't feel like doing anything. I'm up, the TV's on, I'm eating, my gown's kind of open. There's still the bandage on my chest, and I take a drink of this Diet Sierra Mist, and some of it dribbles onto my chest, and I say, "Ooh, that feels weird." And I touch it, and when I go to touch it, my shoulders, I feel like I can't move my arms, which I thought was weird. But maybe they're just heavy, whatever.
Yeah, because you've been laying in bed basically for the last 5 days, so it's probably.
I go to touch where the soda spilled, and I kind of start moving, and it feels like there's balls in my back, like pain, like big knots type of thing. And I thought, whew. And what happened next was very fast. My nurse, who I knew that day, and I talked to her a couple times when I was in there, came running into the room and said, "Are you okay?" And I said, I don't think so. And
like, were you feeling like lightheaded?
It didn't even feel that way. It just felt weird. Like I couldn't move my arms at that point. And my back felt like it was just tense muscles or something.
Yeah.
Something was
something's
weird.
happening.
And that's the last thing I remember.
Was that inappropriate there?
No.
Sometimes I can't judge the pauses. So
I don't know.
if it was, something, I'm going to just say, no offense.
Oh, dang it. Can't be
so
offended.
If you want to be offended,
I can't.
You got to get you got to get it in there quick.
I have to be offended.
But you can't talk over the whistle.
Right. A lot of things
so,
into consideration.
It's a tight gap.
So the reason that's the last thing I remember is I woke up what sounds like was only seconds later with that nurse reviving me because she ran over to me as I, by her account, slumped over.
Mm-hmm.
And she says she didn't feel a pulse.
Whoa.
So she started to do chest compressions on me. She didn't do many, but that's what I woke up to.
So you woke up to her doing chest compressions?
With a 4 to 5 day freshly cracked sternum.
Can't imagine that.
It's the worst pain I've ever felt.
Good for the healing.
It's the worst pain I've ever felt. And
no offense.
I remember waking up feeling that chest compression going because it hurt like so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I wake up in a panic.
Yeah.
Because there's now 8 to 10 people in there.
Yeah.
Well, what I had heard, I hadn't seen myself, is they have codes and alarms that go off on this floor in the heart center that bing, bing, and all you would hear is footsteps. And everybody who's not with a patient at that time has to go to that code.
Right.
Or go to that room to check on that patient. So my own surgeon happened to be there that day. The guy who did my heart surgery in the room. Every nurse. And I wake up to her doing compressions. Doctors talking. Do this, do that, medication, yada, yada, yada. And you wake up in a panic, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what's wrong? Am I dying?
Mm-hmm.
Am I dying? I keep asking that. And they don't answer.
Right.
Which is the scary part right at the start. So then I'm awake. And they're talking about, they got the IV already hooked up. They're putting a different medicine in me to help slow my heart, whatever. And I just start telling, like, hey, call my wife. And I see a nurse grab the phone. And that's when I knew this is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if my nurse was calling Katie right at that point.
Right.
My timeline for what happened to me from when she got called, I don't know if they did. Yeah. It's not like she got a call.
To you, it looked like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even still, leaving the room to call somebody, it still had me terrified. I wake up and I'm thinking about, one, I'm dying, but I'm awake, so like I'm not going in my sleep.
Right.
So
yeah. Which is
I'm watching and feeling this
yeah.
happen. So all my mind is going through is, oh my God, Katie, oh my God, Reed, which is what my biggest fear was before even going in the hospital. So they brought me down to the ICU again. Katie was able to come up. Total, big group watching you constantly in your bed and in your room. Put me on some medication to help fix whatever was going on. I get down to the ICU and I asked a couple nurses, and Katie said, hey, can you please see if her name is Shelby, if Shelby is working? Because if she has a minute, I would love to talk to her, have her come down if she can. I'm lucid now. I shouldn't say lucid. I don't remember a lot of my time in the ICU. More meds, more things. I know my chest hurt really, really bad because of the compressions. And finally, the Shelby, who she saved my life, was able to come down, and I was able to talk to her and thank her for saving me, for God's sake. And that
was for Shelby.
Thank you, Shelby. Slide whistle up for you. She had said that she had been monitoring. She was at like the nurse's station, so she, they have the monitors for all of every patient there, up on a wall type of thing. And she had been seeing mine, and my heart rate had kind of increased to, it was high. It was over 100. Shouldn't be that way.
No.
I didn't feel it though, which is what
That's
felt weird to me.
But I mean, you were probably, because you were obviously still in pain from the surgery. You were probably feeling a million other things.
Yeah.
And with medications and everything, like drugs coursing through you,
it's just so.
I guess I wouldn't be surprised that it wasn't something that you immediately felt.
Yeah. And she told me that I saw that, and then I saw it spike. She said I saw it go over 200 beats per minute.
Oh,
she said it.
Wow, that's like what, 3 times faster than it should be?
Well, my resting heart rate is about 60.
Okay, yeah. So
it ended up getting to 250 beats per minute.
250,
which is what they call it's heart arrhythmia.
Oh.
So they had to do some medication to kind of. They almost shocked me when I was awake.
Oh,
they almost used the defibrillator when I was awake. She said
to bring it back down,
to settle it down to a normal state.
I always think of
when it goes to zero.
You always think of the paddles, to bring it up from nothing. But I guess I wouldn't realize that it also brings it down.
Yeah, those paddles just try to reset the rhythm.
Okay,
so thank God they didn't. Thank God.
I can't imagine it. I can't imagine anything that would be more traumatizing than that.
Yeah, and so being able to see her and just thank her for legitimately, and I'm sure she sees so many patients, Steve, so many, and I'm sure so many people have issues and have to thank her for this. But like in my mind, and nobody's going to be able to change my mind on it, even her. She saved my life.
She was there. She was the one that did what needed to be done.
Somebody else, would have been in the room, but I don't care. She came in. She saw what was going on. She, started the compressions, which is what woke me back up.
Well, she knew what to do.
She saved my life, so I was able to thank her for that. I was in the ICU. Katie was there, which was nice. But again, I don't remember much of it. I just remember being out of it. I do remember the next day she came back because I was still in the ICU on Thursday. And this is when I start to get a little more lucid in terms of days and dates. So this is Thursday. Katie's still there with me. I'm starting to feel okay. In my mind,
this is 6 days in, right?
Yeah.
Because your surgery was on a Friday.
Yeah. Now, they don't know why that happened. My surgeon came in the next day, saw Katie, and told Katie, normally I go home, have dinner, wife, kids, all this, play with my kids, go to bed, come back, do it again. So last night I stayed up. I barely slept. I was reading journals, medical journals, stuff to try to figure out why that happened.
Okay. So this is a rare thing.
Heart arrhythmia happens. And
arrhythmia is basically just any time it's out of the ordinary rhythm.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether it's low, high.
Yep. He goes, I don't know. I honestly don't know why that happened. They did all the tests afterwards. They did an ultrasound, whatever. Another CT scan to see, was something wrong with the valve, was something not.
Yeah.
He said, everything looks great. Everything looks great. We just can't explain it. So that Thursday, I'm a little more lucid.
Which sucks, man.
Yeah.
Because now you're the medical mystery.
I would rather have an illness that they can diagnose, even if it's a little bit worse, but they know what it is, right?
Well, because
rather than have the unknown.
That's the equivalent of, them saying, no, I've never seen this before in my life. Like, no, I don't want that. I want the common. I want the common thing.
Give me I had this last week.
Yeah, I've done 4 of these in the last 2 weeks.
Unbelievable. So that Thursday, Katie's still there, and at some point said, "Hey, I have to pee." Katie, tells the people there, "Can I help them?" And they said, yeah, sure. And they all have a good rapport with her because it must have. I'm sure it gets mentioned, but somewhere in the folder or file, they must have had in big bold letters, "Wife is a nurse."
Right here.
Because they.
That's right. You weren't.
Because they were totally comfortable with her helping, with her being there, with her asking these questions.
Which is great.
Fantastic.
Man, write that in my file.
Right. And that's when they're like, why are they asking me these questions?
Why do they keep calling me doctor?
I don't know, hon. So she helps me stand up and walk over to the toilet, and I stand up there and try to go to the bathroom, and I feel while I'm standing there tunnel vision. And I remember yelling, I need to lay down, because I know I'm about to. And then I hear beep, 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 everything going off again. It's happening.
Because you're still hooked up to monitors and everything.
It's happening again. So in my mind...
No offense.
So in my mind, I'm about to go unconscious and have to be revived again. So they helped me get over to the bed really quickly and lay down, and I was able to kind of work through it, I guess. They didn't...
Like it stabilized on its own. They didn't have to...
Yeah, they didn't shock me. They didn't have to do any chest compressions or anything weird. I was still on this They put me on I was on an IV, and I think they quick shoot some medication in there. And I think that because I was on a few different medications for this heart arrhythmia while I was in there, and now I'm on one at home.
Okay.
So at this point, they're baffled. They don't know what to do. So they bring in a cardiologist or an electrocardiologist. I don't know the terminology. I apologize. They decide, hey, we don't really know what's going on or why this has happened twice. My surgeon seems to think his explanation, and I don't mean this to sound flippant because it's not. Anytime we kind of get in there and poke around your heart, whether it's valve, it can kind of act funny for a while. He goes, but the only thing that's concerning is that'll happen a day or two after.
Yeah.
That won't happen 6 days after your heart surgery usually.
So it's almost like the heart is still kind of figuring itself out. It's like, somebody was in here. Something's going wrong.
Yeah, very weird. And, they had said part of it was still inflamed, but he said that happens because, listen, we cut a piece out, put a new one in, and sewed you back up.
Yeah,
type
it's got
of
to
stuff.
heal.
So the Thursday comes and that happens, and they said, okay, we're going to keep you on, this medicine. I'm going to bring you back up to a room, which means bye-bye to my wife again. Mm-hmm. And then I start having meetings with cardiologists or an electrocardiologist, whatever it was. The thinking is that now, because we don't really know why that happened, but they told, I forget if they told me or if they told Katie, they said it's a good thing it happened here because instead of, planning him going home, you'd be planning his funeral.
No offense.
Which is a scary thing to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine so. Mm-hmm.
So they decide we're going to install an internal defibrillator, not a pacemaker, a defibrillator that is hooked to your heart, that if that arrhythmia happens, that certain kind happens, it'll shock you back to presumably a normal heart rate.
Okay. I always thought that was a pacemaker.
I don't know. I think that just I don't know if a pacemaker gives you just kind of a buzz to get it back normal or what.
I don't know.
So this thing, they tell me this on Thursday or Friday. And in my mind, I'm already like, what are we doing tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, get me in there now.
Call the on-call whatever surgeon. Let's
give me a student. I don't care.
Ship me on down. Because this surgery sounds, it's much less invasive. They're not going through my chest.
Okay.
They're going into my side. They're not touching my heart directly.
Okay.
So in my mind, hey, I'm terrified of surgery, but in comparatively,
this is nothing.
Let's do it.
Walk in the park.
You know what? I'll even pass the anesthesia if it means I can go home sooner. Whatever.
Right.
So this is
give me a pencil to chew on.
So I'm on some medication to correct this arrhythmia. They need to wean me off of that.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So they tell me we'll get you in Monday.
So Thursday again, right?
Yep. So
All right,
I'm
so you got
flying
all Friday,
past.
all Saturday. Well, at least you watch some football on Sunday. College football on Saturday.
Here's what I want to say about my state when I was in the hospital. And I know I probably texted you a few times. I texted family, friends. I video chatted with my wife and my parents and everything. I don't consider myself a person with depression. I never have.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question, though, that when I was in the hospital after these episodes that I had in the ICU, that I was battling, whether you want to call it a bout of depression, bouts of whatever. I was in a really, really, really bad state.
No offense.
To the point where I was video chatting, but it wasn't good for anybody I was video chatting with because I was just breaking down crying every time.
Well, I mean, I think anybody in this situation is going to, like, obviously there's nothing to be ashamed about or anything like that. But I mean, I think that's a perfectly normal thing to feel.
Right.
You know, you just keep, like, they just keep moving the goalposts on you. It's like, oh, well,
and
you'll be out of here Tuesday. You'll be out of here Wednesday.
Yeah.
But, and again, it's not
their fault.
Not their
right?
fault. Not their fault at all. It's a
terrible bribe. What happened is a terrible thing. If they had sent me home Wednesday before 4:00, there's a good chance I'm dead.
Yeah.
So while it's a good thing that it happened at the hospital, it's still a really tough time being there alone, fully alone.
Yeah.
And now knowing you got about 4 days, all of Thursday, all of Friday, all of Saturday, all of Sunday, Monday surgery.
Maybe out Tuesday.
Tuesday's the goal.
Yeah.
But it's that idea of, I just got 4 days by myself now.
Yeah.
And that's not like some vacation. It's terrible.
No, you're just
everything
sitting there.
hurts. My back is terrible from sleeping in this hospital bed. So these video chats just end up with me crying, and my wife and my parents ask, well, what's wrong? And it's the same thing every time. I just want to go home.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I just want to go home. It's so hard being away. Your parents, nephews, but your wife and your son. It was the hardest thing I've ever dealt with. And those last 4 days are among the hardest days I've ever lived. Sitting there, I'm not on many pain meds because it doesn't hurt that bad. I've been in there long enough that I'm on Tylenol type level.
Yeah, you're healing.
Stuff.
Your body's healing.
So I'm just sitting there, Steve. I'm waiting for a physical therapy or occupational therapy, maybe once a day. I stared. Honest to God, I'm not exaggerating. I didn't turn the television on. I packed 2 books. Didn't open them in my backpack. I didn't even open my backpack with stuff I brought. My mom made me like a little flip book of photos of Reed to look at. Nothing. I just sat there. It was total, unlike I'd ever felt in my life.
Except the presidential magazine. I mean, how else are you going to learn all those facts about Ulysses S. Grant?
Oh, God, what a drunk he was, right? I mean, talk about the issue of a war hero being elevated to the level of president based on his wartime merits. It happened with Eisenhower. But as you heard of my top 10 presidents, I included Eisenhower on my...
No offense.
No offense. So, by Sunday, I decided to turn on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also a little bit of, tomorrow's the day, guys.
Yeah,
tomorrow's the day. Like,
exactly.
Hey, up and at 'em, nurses and docs. Let's
go.
go.
Yeah, going on vacation tomorrow. You get that little bit of energy the
and
day
Sunday,
before.
I lost, and I'll be the first to admit it, I lost any type of patience I had with the hospital, the nurses, the doctors.
Mm-hmm. I honestly thought you were going to say I lost a lot of money gambling because I can completely imagine you being the guy who is just gambling nonstop on DraftKings or whatever, like out of surgery, your eyes open. Give me my phone.
Wimbledon's happening. I need Sippis with over 10 aces.
Did the Cardinals cover the spread?
So Sunday comes and I'm ready for the surgery the next day. I'm asking the nurse, and I'm not going to name her name. I don't even remember her name. The worst nurse I had was on Sunday, and I don't mean that in terms of just care. I mean that in terms of any type of understanding. She's asking me okay, and how do you want this medication? And I said, I haven't had that medication in 5 days. She said, okay, so you don't want it? And it was one that is supposed to help you urinate.
Yeah.
No, I'm all set. All good. And
like, why?
She starts going over the warning signs for a stroke.
I feel like they've left a lot of this on you.
Yeah. Oh no, there's no question. To this last day before my surgery, not last day, but last day before surgery, I'm asking for my meds at a certain time because I know they need to be on a schedule. I'm taking this medicine that they're weaning me off of, so they're giving me the meds at 9 and 9, and then every 2 hours after that, they're doing an EKG to see how I'm reacting.
Okay.
So I know I need these at certain times.
If you want the EKG to happen.
So I'm the one calling, and they're busy. Granted, I get it. They're not coming. It's taking 30 to 45 minutes to get a Tylenol type of stuff. Yeah. It's the type of thing you read about where you're like, I don't really like that. She was very nice. She wasn't the best nurse I had when I was in there. So the first thing out of my mouth when she comes in at 6, 7 a.m. is, I've been reading this manual, or the hospital book that they have in all the rooms. I'm having a surgery tomorrow. Now, I know I'm already in here, but the visitor rule is that I can have a visitor when I'm having an operation or in the ICU. Can you find out if I can have someone, because I'm already admitted, can I have someone here tomorrow? Oh, yeah, let me look. Man, hours go by. Finally, I take the hospital book, and I call the main number, and I explain my question, explain all this. They transfer me a couple of times until finally I get transferred, and I hear the phone ringing at the nurse's station outside my room.
Now, okay, did you do a funny voice like, hello?
I hung up because they're not going to know the answer. That's not who I'm looking for. I need like a hospital administrator,
right?
Someone to make this determination. So now then I'm like, all right, I just start buzzing my nurse because, hey, is there any update on that? Hey, is there any update on that? Nothing. Nope. They're still asking. Still trying to figure it out. They finally said it has to go to hospital management. Mm-hmm. And it's like,
I thought you were going to say it has to go to corporate. Which, I mean, essentially, that's
right.
That's what it
is.
is.
It's like 5 o'clock on Sunday night. I don't even know when my surgery is the next day. Nobody's told me. Just said tomorrow morning-ish. I don't know if my wife can be there. And so at this point, I'm pleading. I have a son. If my wife needs to be here, we need to figure out who can watch him in the morning, what time, where she needs to go. All of this information I need to know. She finally comes in. It's her last visit there because I know the shift changes are at 7 o'clock or so. I know it's her last one. She's in there right at about 7. And she comes in. She goes, well, I have some good news. We went to hospital management, and they determined that you can have a visitor, and yes, your wife can come tomorrow. And man, I lost it. I was crying so hard. She came over and had to give me a hug. And just so thankful. And at that point, I just want her out of the room.
Yeah.
So I can call my wife, so I can tell her. But then I still have questions. I say, when is it? Yeah, I don't really know. So we'll figure it out in the morning. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening.
Right.
But some hiccups the next morning in terms of figuring out where she needs to go. But it all worked. She was able to come up to my room beforehand, which was so good for me to be able to see somebody before I went in for this next surgery. Just the relief of having somebody there that you know and love and can be there when you wake up and when you go in,
right,
was so immense. The relief.
Well,
I can't describe it. So it's Monday morning. They bring me down. I'm like, let's get this show on the road, man.
Let's go.
And I
go
heard
for the record.
Somebody mentioned, kind of similar to before I went in for my main surgery. Hey, 3 to 5 days. But I heard for this one, maybe today. So I'm like, all right, I'm going home today.
Yeah,
I'll
be home for dinner.
Send me, honey. Get the menu out. We're picking food. I'm home tonight.
Yeah.
And I didn't care about anything. I didn't care about it. I said, bring me in. Let's do this. Come on. Let's go, go, go.
Mm-hmm.
And they shipped me off. Everything went fine. They cut me up on my left side. So I have a big lump is what it looks like with a defibrillator. They installed it on my side in the muscle so it's not like moving around.
Yeah.
And then I have another little cut kind of below my heart where they connect the lead to that hooks to your heart that detects, hey, the rhythm,
the electrical impulses.
Yep.
Whatever.
So if it goes wrong, that's the signal giving it that it'll zap me and put my heart back to normal. So I woke up, and man, I woke up in more intense pain than I did after my open heart surgery. Oh boy, did that side hurt!
Really,
it hurt.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of a sensitive spot, and if they put it right in the muscle,
there was no real indication that this was going to hurt that bad when I woke up because they medicate you, they alleviate that with so much medicine. Oh my God, Steve, it hurt so bad. I woke up and within 3 minutes, I thought, I'm not going home today. There's no way. Which was a bummer, but they said the surgery went well. Said goodbye to Katie and went back up to my room and was able to get through that day with no real issue. Finally, I was like, I know I'd weaned myself off all the bigger pain meds, the muscle relaxers and stuff. I said, I need something. I said, give me a double dose of muscle relaxer and the upgraded pain meds so I can sleep tonight because I am in such pain right now with this side. They did. I slept for a little bit, not long. 7 a.m. rolled around. Man, where's the nurse?
Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning. Where's the doc? Where's the nurse? Surgeon? I don't care. Let's get him in here. Start giving me the lowdown on discharge because I know only certain levels of people can discharge you. Mm-hmm. She's in at 9. I'm like, what do I got to do? I'll do a quick jog down the hallway to show you I can walk.
Right.
Whatever. And she discharges me, and I'm texting Katie to get there, and I'm so excited. And they say, all right, well, go grab your, go change out of your hospital scrubs. And as I'm changing and waiting, because you can't walk out. Mm-hmm. I know it's a big thing. Hey, I want to walk out of here. Because I told them I didn't need one. Because I was walking the length of the building anyway. I didn't need it, but liability-wise, you have to. So anytime you see a TV show or whatever where they stand up triumphantly from a wheelchair or whatever to walk out, it's a lie. Yeah. They don't allow it. And I was lucky enough while I was dressed and waiting, and I'm just sitting there on the edge of the bed, tapping my feet, ready, waiting for this wheelchair, because it might be like an hour and a half. I said, no, really? No. I'll walk myself. I am not waiting another 90 minutes for an underpaid transport guy to get up here to get me out of here.
Wheelchairs? We only got one of them.
Yeah.
It's got a flat, too, so...
We really underpurchased on those.
It's at Discount Tire getting a new set of treads put on it.
Yeah, we got to get the winter chains on it. But while I'm sitting there waiting, and this was so nice to be able to have happen. Shelby, the nurse who revived me and who saw me a couple of times, she was never my daily nurse after that day. Which you never know. There's a lot of nurses, and it's all in a rotation about what side of the floor they're on. It's a big floor. Yeah. She came in to talk to me, which was just so nice to be able to see her again and be able to again thank her in person for saving me, and for also appearing to be, 95 pounds, so she didn't re-break my sternum when she was doing compressions. So that was, it's COVID. I can't really go up to her and give her a hug, but I, expressed my thanks beyond belief to her. So that was very nice. They wheeled me down, and I was able to go home after a very, very long, 12 days in the hospital. The overwhelming majority of it with nobody there, nobody able to visit, which was, again, as I mentioned, the hardest part. I think with any type of visitor or family or being able to see you on a daily basis helps the recovery, and it helps you want to go home.
Yeah, well, mentally, it's a, there's a reason why they put people in isolation to torture them. You know?
Right.
Like that's brutal.
I didn't know what to expect, obviously, with how hard it was going to be, and finding out the day before that I'm not going to be able to have any visitors made it harder because you're going into this expectation. Yeah, it's only one person the whole time. which is a bummer. But at least you get to see that you get somebody.
Yeah, you get one.
Yeah, so to have even that ripped from me was a little bit difficult to encounter, but 12 long days. I now take a heart arrhythmia pill twice a day. I take a cholesterol pill once a day. Once a week, I have a little machine that is hooked up Bluetooth to my defibrillator that I push the little button on, and it sends the record of
you're uploading?
I'm uploading on a weekly basis, so they can monitor, see if there's anything weird.
That's how they get you, man. You got 5G in that thing?
I had the chip before all you guys did with the vaccine. So that's my day-to-day. It took me a little while. Probably I didn't eat good or anything for about 2 weeks. I lost, I think it was 28 pounds.
Damn.
When I was in there.
Bonus.
Yeah.
Little diet.
And some pretty bad pain there for a while. Difficulty sleeping for a few weeks at least. But I was able to be home for Thanksgiving. I was able to be home for the holidays, which was one of my main goals when going in.
So really, the trade-off, your everyday life is basically no different because you got to take a couple pills, but that's boom down the hatch.
Yeah, there's some discomfort. Like if I lay on the side with my defibrillator,
really?
It's not that deep. It hurts.
Yeah,
like it's a little box.
Does it hurt because it's there, or does it hurt because it's like still tender or whatever?
It hurts because it's there.
It's just there.
So all my wounds are healed up. So that I've had 4 or 5 follow-ups, a couple with my surgeon, a couple with the person who installed the defibrillator. There's a chance I'll have to undergo another operation this fall.
Okay.
Because they don't think I need to be on this medication.
Mm-hmm.
And I am incredibly fearful of not being on that medication because in my mind, that's the only thing right now keeping that from happening again. If that's unlikely, I don't know. They don't know. So it's a non-toxic pill anyway. So it's one of those that you hear about a lot of meds. Hey, if you take this for 10, 15 years, it starts to ruin your liver or whatever. Yeah. This has none of those effects.
Okay.
So right now I take that twice a day, but in November or in the fall, they said they may want to bring me in after weaning me off of this medication, put me out, and it's not a scientific description or a medical description. They want to go in there and prod my heart a little bit with electrical waves to see if they can make it do that arrhythmia on its own. So if they can kind of jostle it to where that happens while they're shooting electrical currents while I'm unconscious, then they would keep me on the medication. But at that point, if nothing happened while they were in there, they would say you don't need to take those pills anymore.
I'm surprised that they can't tell from the data that you're sending to them on a weekly basis.
But I'm on the pills. So they need to know. The idea is that, hey, we can either wean you off and you can just say, try it without the medication, or the option I just described in a controlled environment to where they go in there and see, is your heart going to react?
So if something does happen, they would
be able to fix it instantly and say, okay, we still don't know. So that's on the table for this fall. I'm choosing not to think about it because I can't think about going under for another surgery right now. And but hey, I feel pretty good. I went for a few jogs this week.
Yeah?
Horrible. It went horrible.
Yeah, it's tough to start that up.
I mean, it feels like starting from the first day I could walk.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no stamina. There's no capacity to run for any amount of period that doesn't make me feel immensely winded.
Yeah.
If I stick with it long haul wise, my heart is functioning better than what it was before.
Yeah.
There's no reason I shouldn't be able to do it at a better
pace. I wonder if, take out the whole surgery and all the medical issues in general, if you had just gone for a jog the other day, I would bet chances are, since you haven't run in ever, I mean, you'd probably feel exactly the same.
Yeah, maybe.
I would bet.
Yeah.
Because even somebody like me who I've run a ton, but if I take 6 months off, that first one back, it's like it's the first time I've ever done it.
And I mean, this is 6 months off or however long off from I mean, it took me a while just to be able to. My daily exercise, Steve, when I got home, was walking to the mailbox and back, and that was taking it out of me. I took a shower. I'd have to sit down, and I'd get out of the shower, and I would get dressed, and I would I'm out. Like I'm just exhausted after that. And it's to that degree that your body is so starting over after something like this that just to be able to, like I said, to walk to the end of my road and back took quite a bit of time after I got home before I was super winded.
Right.
So much better state than I was. Still lingering, and I don't like. I don't know if the term is PTSD, Steve.
It sure sounds like it. I mean,
I feel it feels weird for me to say that though, because I don't want to take that term.
No.
From a group that has traumatic memories from war or whatever, but that's how I can compare it to, when I got home, and I didn't even realize this until somewhat recently. My wife's watched Grey's Anatomy for eternity, and she had it on after I was home because I wasn't working for a while. I was home and I had to get up and leave the room. And she said, "What are you doing in the bedroom?" I said, "I'm just going to read." I said, "I can't really look at that show with the hospital right now." I said, "It's giving me bad memories." And there was a commercial that aired in Michigan that I don't know if it aired nationally, but I know it was in Michigan, where it was set to the song "Auld Lang Syne," but it was that music playing with lights flashing outside of a hospital room and doctors and nurses sprinting into that room. Yeah, and then they showed like a doctor or whoever doing compressions on the person, and it was but it was like a, hey, wear your mask, do this type of thing for COVID because this is what could happen. But I saw that for the first time and lost it, like just emotionally broke down. Couldn't, just all came flooding back what had happened that Wednesday. Oh my God. And I saw it on a few times after that, and it's just me scrambling for the television remote, turning the channel and not being able to, turn it fast enough, and just not wanting to see even a second of that commercial. And then after a few days home, I decided to look at, they take notes and they give you those notes every day you're in the hospital. Yeah. And I got to that, flipping through, it's all kind of nothing major. It's all just talking about oxygen levels and whatever. Yeah,
vital signs and
stuff.
stuff.
It gets to that Wednesday, and I start reading the note of, code blue, this and that, and I start to cry and have to throw my phone away from me so I don't read it anymore. And it's okay, I'm not ready to read those details yet. So, it's been 6 months. 6 months this week. It was 6 months on May 13th.
Hey, happy anniversary! You made it 6 months. Hey,
that is what people say. To be able to go home was among the highlights, one of the greatest days ever.
Yeah,
after that long, and being able to, have my son come home, and he doesn't know. He knows I was gone, but
he just knows you were.
But he also doesn't know time. He's sitting here playing with grandma and grandpa, and
he's like, whatever,
mom and whatever. So it's like I'm holding him, and I never want to let go as I'm crying. And he's like, "Hey, Dad, let me go, man. Yeah, were you gonna give me a snack or what's
Paw
the
Patrol's
deal?"
on, man.
Yeah,
what are we doing?
I'm glad it happened now. Obviously, it's better to have it happen now than when you're, one, older, because it's harder to recover, and two, you don't want it to happen. You don't want it to happen in an emergency situation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, this last 6 months, this whole experience that you went through seems like it's one of the worst, but it's a lot better than a year from now, and you and Reed are out in the front yard kicking a soccer ball around, and you keel over. Oof. It's it's. So it sucks. It sucks that it had to happen, but I think you got the best possible outcome of a terrible scenario.
Yeah.
And that's as much as you can hope for.
Yeah. And, a lot of people showed up in terms of, showing support. I mentioned you and Annette, friends, family, Katie's coworkers looking out for her, gift cards to restaurants and stuff, and food bringing over and keeping her occupied while I'm in there because, it's like I mentioned, it's lonely for her too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a totally different situation. So, very long 12 days, a very traumatic 12 days.
Yeah.
But
it sounds like very justified.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I came out on the other side and I'm better for it. So, thank you to everybody who listened to this, who sent their well wishes and sent cards and everything. Just far too kind. Just a fantastic outpouring, Steve. When I was in there, I know in the hospital, I know, and even afterwards, people saying, sending their well wishes. So very nice.
Yeah. Boy, look at us. We're back into the Humphrey described glory days of this
Way
podcast.
too long.
Of this 140.
You wanna get out of here on one of your jokes?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I had the website pulled up. Jesus, I
I
was waiting for my in. I mean, look, yeah, your story,
Sure,
but people really tuned in for the joke of the day.
and we can't leave them with no joke of the day. So just rat-a-tat-tat.
Well, look, no, I need to just drop them into natural conversation. I don't want to.
Gotcha.
I'm not the guy that says, "Hey, gonna tell a joke now." So maybe finish up a little tidbit.
Yeah, it was nice to be able to see. When I left
can you make
there.
this somehow? Give me a scenario in a bar.
Boy, okay, that might take a second. I'm in the hospital, Steve, and I'm thinking the whole time. I usually go out the night before Thanksgiving, family and friends. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. Have some drinks, and it's all everybody together. It's not like a couple friends know. So, it's part of the thing. You're looking forward to something, and that's really key. So I really wanted to be able to get out to the bar before the night before Thanksgiving.
Man, did I ever tell you about the time that I was at the bar and a ham sandwich walked in and ordered a beer?
No, I don't think you did.
Bartender said, "Sorry, we don't serve food here."
Yeah. It's funny, Steve. I was.
Can you incorporate?
I went in there.
Incorporate a Clydesdale.
No. I do
maybe
know
talk
another,
about Budweiser.
I know another option though. I got you.
Wait a minute. I could set this up for you if you want. Hey, you were talking about that commercial that you watched with the Auld Lang Syne.
Yeah.
It really got to you.
Yeah, that did.
Remember that Budweiser commercial with the
You talking
Clydesdales?
You're talking about the one with the Clydesdales, and I'm assuming you're talking about the one that they did. They only aired the one year,
one time.
Oh
one
boy,
time.
those Budweiser Clydesdales.
Hey, speaking of Clydesdales, why did the Clydesdale give the pony a glass of water?
Why would he do that?
Because he was a little horse.
I got one for you. I think I know one of your setups.
The
the time frame. No, I got you. I already know one. So just have your list up. The time frame for the surgery, man. It's my favorite time of year, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
So to be going into the hospital and having this feeling of dread, but then looking out the car window, and you're looking out, you see the cornfield, you got the Halloween decorations, you got some Thanksgiving stuff, you got scarecrows up in the field, and it's this weird dichotomy of feelings because you're so terrified. But again, it's my favorite time of year.
Yeah. Hey, did I ever ask you, or did you hear about the scarecrow that won a big award?
Steve, no, I didn't.
He won it because he was outstanding in his field.
Well, there you have it. We got some jokes of the day for you in there. I didn't want to leave you hanging.
I appreciate that.
You had the whole routine, the whole stand-up routine set up. Glad you were able to get them out.
I mean, there are things that people tune into this podcast for.
There's no question, and today was lacking in a lot of those. So I'm glad you tried to button that up at the end of the show.
Oh, boy. We got a couple polls up on Facebook and Twitter.
Yes.
At Steve and Kyle. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Steve and Kyle. Just posted that picture of the beautiful pen and letter
that's
opener
right.
set that we had.
Will Egan, our friend Will Egan, thank you very much for that again.
Thank you very much, Will. Feel good to get the story out there?
It did. You
Yeah.
know, I'll look back on it and, not even like the way I told it because
No.
I don't.
Just don't listen to it like I always do with this
You think I'm
podcast.
listening to this ever again?
Unsubscribe. Can you believe that we used to do this for this amount of time every week, plus?
Plus 45 minutes.
We are stupid.
What did we talk about?
Ugh.
I can't think
Softball and Captain Bowling.
I can't think of one other thing to talk to you about right now.
No.
Not a single one.
Maybe Christmas lights. Maybe a garage door install. Those are our... Like, remember we talked about if we did the word cloud?
Yeah.
Or the common topics on this show.
Right. Boy, I don't know if I could ever do a 3-hour one.
Do you think?
But again, stay tuned for the Cure for the Cure. Coming July 10, 6-hour live stream. Where we raise money for a charity we haven't decided with guests we haven't contacted and other bits we haven't thought of.
Maybe we got to start going back to the bowling alley on Thursday nights. Their pizza was outstanding.
Maybe we should just go there, not bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Steve and Kyle. We will talk to you next week. See ya.